Aging has always come with questions. Will I stay sharp? Will I remember my grandchildren's faces, my favorite songs, or the stories I've lived? What happens to the brain as the body gets older? And most importantly, can I do anything about it? For generations, the brain was a mystery. We knew what it could do, but not much about how it changed with time. We could talk about memory loss, confusion, or clarity, but it was mostly guesswork. That changed when scientists began looking inside the brain with tools like MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, functional MRI, and PET scans, positron emission tomography. These technologies gave us something we never had before, a real-time view of the aging brain. We could finally see how thoughts moved, how cells changed, how damage occurred, and, most exciting of all, how healing and growth still happen. What we've discovered is both humbling and hopeful. Some people in their 80s have the brain activity of someone in their 50s. Others show signs of decline decades earlier. What makes the difference? Brain scans have helped us uncover the patterns and the possibilities. They reveal that aging gracefully isn't just a matter of fate. It's something we can actively shape with how we eat, move, think, rest, and connect with others. In this episode, we'll take you on a journey through the aging brain, from the inside out, and show you what these powerful scans reveal about staying mentally vibrant through the decades. Let's begin with one of the most hopeful discoveries of all. Part 1. The brain can keep growing. Neurogenesis in older age. One of the most groundbreaking findings from brain imaging studies is the discovery of neurogenesis, the ability to grow new brain cells, even in later life. For decades, scientists believed that brain development stopped in early adulthood. Once a neuron was damaged or died, it was gone forever. But MRI and PET scan research in the past 20 years has completely overturned that myth. Where is this growth happening? Primarily in the hippocampus, a region deep inside the brain that plays a central role in forming and storing memories. This is the same area that begins to shrink in Alzheimer's disease. Yet, remarkably, under the right conditions, this part of the brain can regenerate and even increase in volume. What promotes neurogenesis? Brain scans and blood flow imaging reveal several powerful influences. Physical activity, especially aerobic exercise like walking or swimming. Learning new things, such as a language or instrument. Rich social interactions and community engagement. Healthy sleep patterns. Omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidants in the diet. Real example from research. In a study at the University of Pittsburgh, adults aged 60 to 80 were scanned before and after a 6-month walking program. The results? MRI images showed a 2% increase in hippocampal volume, enough to offset nearly 2 years of typical age-related decline. Even more importantly, participants scored higher on memory tests and showed better recall ability. So, what's the takeaway? Your brain isn't done growing, it's not locked in place, it's alive. And with the right lifestyle, it can become stronger, sharper, and more resilient as the years pass. Part 2. Use it or lose it. Brain activity and mental engagement. If neurogenesis tells us the brain can grow, functional brain scans tell us how we use it, determines how well it performs. With fMRI technology, researchers can track which parts of the brain light up during different tasks, like solving puzzles, recalling names, or learning something new. Here's what they've discovered. When seniors regularly engage in mentally challenging activities, scans show denser neural pathways and more synchronized brain activity, especially in the prefrontal cortex, which handles decision-making, planning, and focus. On the other hand, brain scans of older adults who spend most of their time passively, watching TV, scrolling through phones, or disengaged from new information often reveal reduced activity and weakened connections in those same areas. This aligns with the well-known saying, "Use it or lose it." And brain imaging proves it's not just a saying, it's a biological truth. Key findings from fMRI studies. Learning new skills activates both hemispheres of the brain, improving memory and attention. Activities like Sudoku, crosswords, and logic games strengthen working memory circuits. Taking a class or trying something novel stimulates blood flow to the brain's higher function centers. Practical tip: it's not just about doing what's comfortable, it's about doing what's new. Trying to learn how to use a tablet, taking a music class, joining a community discussion group. All of these light up brain regions that help preserve cognitive health. Case example: lifelong learning. In a longitudinal study from Harvard, people in their 70s and 80s who remained active learners through courses, reading, or mentoring had brain scans that looked significantly younger than their peers. Their brains had more gray matter density, more white matter integrity, and better synaptic connectivity. What does this mean? Your brain is like a garden. If you feed it, challenge it, and keep tending it, it will flourish. If you let it sit idle, it begins to wither, but it's never too late to start planting again. Part 3. Stress and the brain. The hidden damage brain scans can see. Stress isn't just something we feel. It's something that physically reshapes the brain. And modern brain scans have made this crystal clear. When someone experiences chronic stress, whether from caregiving, illness, financial worries, grief, or even long-term loneliness, it activates the brain's alarm center, the amygdala. Over time, this continuous activation causes actual changes in brain structure. MRI and fMRI scans of older adults under prolonged stress often show shrinking of the hippocampus, the area crucial for memory and learning, reduced volume in the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for focus and decision-making, increased size and activity of the amygdala, associated with anxiety and emotional reactivity. These changes aren't invisible. They show up on imaging as clear markers of what scientists call neurodegeneration, often mimicking early dementia. But here's the most important point. This damage is not permanent. Brain scans also show that with the right interventions, such as mindfulness, relaxation, prayer, and meaningful social support, some of these stress-related brain changes can be reversed, or at least significantly slowed. In one major study, researchers conducted MRI scans of seniors before and after an 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction program. The results were striking. The hippocampus volume increased. The amygdala became less reactive. Participants showed improved memory and emotional control. Even practicing deep breathing for 10 minutes a day has been shown to shift brainwave patterns, reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase oxygen-rich blood flow to the brain, all visible on imaging scans. Real-life application: simple, regular habits, like meditation, nature walks, or even keeping a gratitude journal can literally help your brain repair from the wear and tear of long-term stress. Practical tip for seniors: start the day with quiet time. No TV, no news. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each night. Speak with a friend or loved one at least once a day. Consider gentle prayer, reflection, or soft instrumental music to calm the nervous system. Remember, stress may be a part of life, but it doesn't have to take over your mind. The brain is adaptable, and healing begins with small, consistent changes. Part 4. Movement is medicine. How exercise shows up on brain scans. If there is one habit that lights up nearly every corner of the brain, it's movement. Brain imaging studies consistently show that seniors who engage in regular physical activity have brains that appear younger, more connected, and more energized than their sedentary peers. How? When we move, especially through cardiovascular activities like walking, dancing, cycling, or swimming, it boosts blood flow to the brain, delivering more oxygen, glucose, and nutrients to brain cells. PT scans often reveal that active individuals have more stable glucose metabolism, especially in areas of the brain responsible for memory. MRI scans of active older adults show greater brain volume, especially in the hippocampus and frontal lobes, improved white matter integrity, which supports faster thinking and better coordination between different brain regions, lower buildup of amyloid plaques, a key marker associated with Alzheimer's disease, better connectivity between brain hemispheres, which aids in balance, emotion regulation, and multitasking. And the benefits aren't just physical. Movement also helps mood by increasing neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which support emotional well-being. fMRI studies show that after just 20 minutes of light aerobic activity, there is a measurable boost in mood-related brain activity. The exercise prescription for brain health: 150 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise per week, brisk walking, water aerobics, cycling, 2 days of strength or resistance training, light weights, resistance bands, or body weight exercises, balance and flexibility practices such as Tai Chi or yoga, which also reduce fall risk and calm the nervous system. Practical tip: you don't have to run marathons. Even gentle daily movement can make a measurable difference. Walking around the block, tending the garden, or dancing in the living room can spark brain activity that shows up in scans. A real example: in one study published in Neurology, participants aged 70+ were given step trackers and followed for a year. Those who walked at least 7,000 steps a day had brain scans that showed significantly slower shrinkage of the brain compared to those who were inactive. One of the lead researchers said it best: walking is not just good for the heart, it's a direct investment in your brain. Part 5. You are what you eat: nutrition and the brain on scans. When it comes to brain health, food isn't just fuel, it's medicine. Modern imaging techniques like PET scans and MR spectroscopy, which detects chemical changes in the brain, have confirmed something long suspected. What we eat shapes how our brain looks, functions, and ages. Here's what the scans show. Diets high in processed sugars and unhealthy fats are associated with brain shrinkage, especially in areas related to memory. A diet rich in whole foods, healthy fats, antioxidants, and plant-based nutrients leads to better brain metabolism, slower cognitive decline, and reduced signs of inflammation in the brain. Nutrient-rich diets increase gray matter density, a key marker of brain vitality seen clearly on MRIs. The MIND diet, a proven formula. The MIND diet, Mediterranean-intervention for neurodegenerative delay, combines the best brain-protecting elements of two well-researched diets. Brain scans of those following this approach show significantly slower rates of brain aging and reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease by up to 53%, according to one landmark study. Key components of the MIND diet include leafy green vegetables like spinach, kale, and collards, at least 6 servings per week. Berries, especially blueberries and strawberries, 2 or more servings per week. Nuts, a small handful several times a week. Whole grains, 3 servings per day. Fish, at least once per week, preferably fatty fish like salmon or sardines. Olive oil as the primary cooking fat. Beans, at least 3 servings per week. Poultry, twice a week. Limited red meat, butter, cheese, and fried food. Brain-boosting nutrients revealed by imaging studies. Omega-3 fatty acids from fatty fish, flax seeds, walnuts, associated with increased gray matter and slower brain aging. Vitamin E, found in nuts, seeds, and leafy greens, protects neurons and slows structural decline. Polyphenols, from berries, dark chocolate, and green tea, improve blood flow to the brain, visible on fMRI scans. Curcumin, from turmeric, linked to lower amyloid buildup in Alzheimer's-prone areas. Real-life example. A study using PET scans on older adults found that those with the highest intake of omega-3s had less accumulation of amyloid plaques, a hallmark of Alzheimer's. These scans showed visibly healthier, clearer brain tissue with stronger metabolic activity. Practical tip for seniors. You don't need a radical diet overhaul. Start by adding one more serving of vegetables each day. Switch from butter to olive oil and replace sugary snacks with a handful of walnuts or a bowl of berries. These small steps add up, and they show up on brain scans. Part 6. Connection keeps you sharp. The social brain on scans. It may surprise you to know that loneliness is as damaging to the brain as smoking or high blood pressure. Brain scans have shown that the quality and frequency of social interaction strongly influences how well our brains age. When scientists compared MRI scans of socially active seniors to those who felt isolated, they found clear differences. More active brains in those with regular social contact, especially in regions responsible for memory, language, and emotional regulation, stronger neural connectivity, meaning the brain communicates better across its different regions, less atrophy or shrinkage in the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus. One famous study from the University of Michigan used fMRI scans to observe how the brain reacts during conversation. Even 10 minutes of friendly interaction was enough to boost mental performance, activate memory centers, and increase emotional resilience. In contrast, social isolation and feelings of chronic loneliness were linked to overactivation of the amygdala, increasing stress and anxiety, thinning of the cortex, the outer layer of the brain tied to thinking, reasoning, and judgment, faster decline in memory and processing speed, as seen on repeat imaging over several years. Why does this happen? Because the brain is wired for connection. Talking, listening, laughing, empathizing. All these experiences stimulate multiple brain networks at once, keeping them healthy and flexible. Real example. In a long-term study called the Rush Memory and Aging Project, older adults with strong social ties and daily contact with friends or family had 42% less cognitive decline over a 6-year period. Their MRI scans showed slower brain shrinkage and greater resistance to Alzheimer's-related damage. Practical ways to strengthen the social brain. Join a local community group or senior center for activities. Have weekly phone or video chats with friends or relatives. Attend a class, book club, or religious gathering, whatever sparks joy. Consider volunteering, mentoring, or even babysitting grandkids. Get to know your neighbors. Even a wave and a smile can lift the brain. It's not about the size of your social circle, it's about meaningful, regular connection. Even small, warm interactions help keep the mind alert and the heart full. Remember, brains thrive in conversation. They shrink in silence. So speak, listen, laugh, and connect. It could be the most powerful brain medicine of all. Part 7. Sleep and Brain Detox. The night shift you didn't know about. We often think of sleep as rest, but brain scans have revealed it's one of the most active and vital times for brain health. especially in older adults. Advanced MRI and PET scans now allow us to observe how the brain behaves during sleep. What researchers have discovered is remarkable. During deep sleep, the brain enters a cleansing cycle, flushing out toxins, waste proteins, and even amyloid beta, the compound linked to Alzheimer's disease. This process happens through the glymphatic system, a fluid network that essentially washes the brain while we sleep. PT scans show that without adequate deep sleep, harmful proteins build up, particularly in the hippocampus and cortex, leading to impaired memory and slower thinking. In one groundbreaking study, researchers scanned the brains of older adults after one night of poor sleep. The scans showed increased amyloid accumulation in just one night. Imagine the effect after months or years of disrupted sleep. But it's not just about getting enough sleep. It's about the quality of that sleep. Brain scans show that fragmented sleep or frequent waking disrupts the detox process. This is especially important for people over 60, when sleep cycles naturally become lighter. Tips for supporting brain-healthy sleep. Keep a regular bedtime and wake time, even on weekends. Create a dark, cool, and quiet sleeping space. Avoid screens and bright lights 1 to 2 hours before bed. Limit caffeine and alcohol in the afternoon. Practice calming routines like gentle stretching, meditation, or listening to soft music. Real-life evidence. A 2020 study using functional MRI found that older adults who regularly got 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep had better brain connectivity, stronger memory scores, and a 25% slower rate of cognitive decline than poor sleepers. Bottom line, sleep isn't passive. It's the brain's night shift. It's time to heal, reset, and defend itself from disease. If you want a clearer mind tomorrow, the best thing you can do tonight is sleep well. Part 8. A future full of hope. What's next in brain aging research? We've talked a lot about what brain scans reveal, how they show damage, healing, growth, and decline. But perhaps the most powerful thing these images show us is hope. Because every year, science is uncovering new ways to preserve and even improve brain health, well into our 70s, 80s, and beyond. Researchers are now exploring brain stimulation therapies. Techniques like transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, are being used to wake up underactive brain areas in seniors with memory loss. Scans show increased blood flow and new neural activity after just a few sessions. Personalized brain health plans. Using your own scan results, doctors can tailor lifestyle, diet, exercise, and supplements to your unique brain profile, helping prevent problems before they start. AI and early detection. Machine learning is helping analyze brain scans to catch early signs of dementia, sometimes years before symptoms appear, when prevention is still most effective. Regeneration research. Scientists are working on ways to stimulate stem cells in the brain, which could potentially help rebuild damaged areas. Scans in early trials show promise in restoring lost brain volume. And here's what's most encouraging. The most effective interventions discovered so far are not drugs or surgeries. They are simple, daily habits. Moving your body, feeding your brain, getting restful sleep, connecting with others, learning something new, calming the mind. Each of these leaves a visible fingerprint on the brain. Each of these changes the way your brain looks and works. You don't need to be a neuroscientist to benefit. You just need to remember, it's never too late to start. The brain is not a machine that wears out. It's more like a garden, capable of renewal, growth, and surprising resilience. Brain scans have shown us that aging does not automatically mean decline. With the right tools, movement, rest, nourishment, purpose, and connection, you can age with clarity, strength, and grace. So whether you're 60, 70, or 90, whether your memory is sharp or sometimes foggy, whether you're learning a new skill or just trying to remember where you put your keys, remember, your brain is listening, and it's still growing. Take care of it. Nourish it. And above all, never stop using it. Because inside that remarkable organ is your past, your present, and the potential for an even brighter future.